Hi there, my name is Stevie P. I am going to show you a guide on how to defeat Abzu 2.0. You run into him again in Chapter 14 in Search of Hope. He's certainly more challenging than he was before, so I'll show you the materia setup. Cloud at last gets to shine a little bit in this battle. Because there are many enemies on the field, I've given him First Strike and ATB boost and Deadly Dodge, just so that he can focus on dishing out damage to the multiple enemies. Cloud shines when there are many targets to fight, and that he gets his opportunity to do that in this fight. So I've given him ATB boost, Deadly Dodge, First Strike for that, but he's going to double as a bit of a black mage with MP up and fire, because in the third phase particularly we want to be using fire against him, which is what he's vulnerable to, and Cloud is going to be the one to do that, and parry, because why not? It's very, very handy. So that's Cloud. Then Barrett, we've got time with Magnify just to give them all haste in the third phase of the battle. For safety, I've given him Revival and Healing, although if you use this strategy, you shouldn't have to use either once. And a couple of HP ups because he's got his Wrecking Ball weapon in this fight, which makes him an absolute melee monster, but he does take a lot of damage being up close and not being able to dodge in the way the other two can. So HP up so that he can tank the damage. And then with Tifa, I've got Elemental with Fire, which Abzu is vulnerable to. And she's just going to do the usual thing where when Cloud is finished off the little shotes, which are the little kind of minions of Abzu, then it's over to Tifa to just do physical damage. So Fire with Elemental. I've got Healing and Chakra, although you're not going to need either. He does do an attack that inflicts poison, so Chakra can be useful, but if you do this properly, he probably won't even get a chance to use it. Couple of luck up attacks, luck up materia just to increase critical chance, critical attack chance, and then parry because she can then dodge out of the way of most of his attacks. So that's the setup in terms of materia. Then in terms of weapon, Buster Sword for Cloud, just because that's quite nicely balanced between magic and physical attacks. And then Wrecking Ball and Metal Knuckles for Barrett and Tifa, just so that they can do as much physical attack as possible. So that's the setup, and then without any further delay, I shall run into the actual battle and we shall get going. So it starts with Abzu doing a physical attack. He's going to do ground pound. So I'm just going to put Cloud into Punisher mode and block so that he can counterattack and get that final little bit of ATB, which is what has happened. And then Cloud straight away is going to be into attacking these shotes. So these shotes, basically, 3 of them go onto this side of the battlefield and 3 of them go to the other. And when you defeat one of them, you don't actually, at first, kill them. What happens is they become untargetable and they'll run off the field. So with Triple Slash, he just finished off, well, he sort of defeated 3 of them. They're going to run off the battlefield. And now we want to get these other 3, which are at the other end of the battlefield. So we'll just get Cloud to run over to a point where you can see one of them. Now I'm going to show you a little trick. The first attack that you do, with the first time you tap the attack button, he launches towards the enemy. Now, what you can do after he's launched himself is dodge roll. That will break his string of attacks, such that when you tap the attack button again, he'll launch himself again, meaning that Cloud, as long as he's got a target in his sights, is even faster than Tifa at traversing the battlefield. He can move so quickly. It's attack, just tap it, tap the attack button, then dodge roll, then tap the attack button, and repeat, and he'll move really, really quickly. So I'll show you. Tap attack, dodge roll, tap attack, and he's there in absolutely no time. I'm going to go into Punisher mode. One of them attacked him and he counterattacked, which is absolutely perfect because they were all right there, right next to him. And there you go. Cloud is incredible against multiple enemies and closing the distance, closing the gap. When he wants to, he can go really fast. Dodge roll and attack, and there you go. He's right up close to Abzu. Why not? Let's just do a braver attack against Abzu. So, what's the method? What's the strategy with defeating Abzu? Basically, I think one of the biggest things to say here is offense is your best defense, and you don't want to try to stagger him, which might sound weird, but actually what you want to do is simply pressurize him. And when he's pressured, pull out the big guns because it takes so long to actually stagger him, and he doesn't actually have any special resistance against magical or physical attacks. So when he's pressured is your best chance to just dish out the damage, and that will be the quickest way of defeating him rather than wasting time using things like focused shot, thrust, and strike, which don't do much damage and build up pressure, but it takes too long, I find. It's much better to just use things like dive kick, star shower, or braver, or charging uppercut, you know, the kind of the big hitting attacks when he's pressurized to dish out punishment. Now, the only caveat to that is when he's changing phase. So going from phase 1 to phase 2, which happens at about 3/4 health, or phase 2 to phase 3, which happens just under half health. You want to watch out for that, because why use ATB doing a special attack against him when normal attacks will suffice to bring him to that point that he's going to move to the next phase? And at the next phase, you want to have lots of ATB free in order to start, particularly with Cloud, defeating the little shotes. So on this occasion, he's a little far away from 3/4 health. So I'm going to use Braver, a normal Braver attack against him. And then I'm going to jump over to Tifa, do a couple of whirling uppercuts. I wasn't watching and she did get hit there, but that's okay. Get her into Chi level 3. And there we go. Now he's pressurized. And this is the perfect opportunity to simply attack. Like I say, I could use a special ability at this point, but what's the point? He's going to be pressurized long enough that normal attacks will actually move him into the next phase. So let's just do normal attacks, build up the ATB on all of them. And there you go, that little cancel sign appears on his health bar, meaning he can't take damage. So if we had been instructing them to do all sorts of things, Star Shower, charging uppercut or whatever, that would have been a waste of ATB, because we could have just used normal attacks. And now I'm going to switch back over to Cloud to be ready for the next phase of the fight. So his horn glows. And basically phase 2 is the same as phase 1. Just use the same strategy as what you just used in phase 1. So they all appear. Cloud is nice and ready with lots of ATB to do triple stash. So going to use that on that one here. And then with Barret, what I'm going to do is use Overrun. And now Barret can in fact use his Maximum Fury ability to finish off one of the shotes, which is fantastic. Jump back to Cloud. Let's see which other shotes are around. Apparently it's just these two. Okay, now I think they're done for. Yeah, they're done for. He's going to charge. I'm going to let him hit Cloud. Just go into Punisher mode. Cloud will do a counter attack. And we've got some extra ATB, which is fantastic. All of the shotes are defeated for this phase. They'll come back in the next phase, which is why they're not showing as being completely dead. We'll do a Braver. Now, he has got a horn and a tail that you can target. But as a general rule, I find, don't bother with them. They're kind of like a distraction. If you did want to go for one of them, in phase 3, when we're using Fire Arga, we will target the horn, because when you eventually destroy it, it'll cripple him, and that'll pressurize him. But I found it doesn't make too much difference to just generally go for the body. I haven't experimented loads with it, so just see what works for you. But I'm just going to do a Braver against the normal body. Now I'm going to use her Chi, because why not? She's got 2 ATB, may as well just do a whole ton of damage on him. Dodge out of the way of charge. He didn't hit anybody. I'm going to do dive kick. Now very, 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 very soon, he's going to move into the next phase of the battle. So it's at this stage that I particularly want Barret to have ATB. So I'm going to control him now for a little bit. Haha, one big punch. And that was enough to put him into the next phase. Now, this next phase is a little bit different to the other two. It's lather, rinse, repeat to start with. But sooner or later, he's going to do a move called Enrage. And when he does that, that's when you want to start using fire attacks. So to start with all the shoats, I'm going to use Overrun with Barret just to hopefully get a couple of them. Jump over to Cloud, and look at them all huddling together. He's going to use Triple Slash. That's so many of them gone now. That is so many of them already. Now we're going to use our trick to traverse the battlefield. Click, attack, roll, attack, roll. Attack, roll. And then dodge, because there's still a couple of shoats around, but these two are done with, so it's just that one there. Attack, roll, attack. Okay, let's just use Triple Slash to finish him off. Now, Barret, this bit is important. This is when you want to use haste. So as soon as you get the opportunity, I should have done it a little bit earlier, use haste because you really want them to have haste. We've defeated all the shoats, so we're going to go back to Tifa and start attacking. Now he's used Enrage. Now this is when he becomes really dangerous. You want ATB, as much of it as possible. And we're going to use Fire Aga this time on the horn. Jump over to Tifa. Fire Aga's going to hit. That has not pressurized him just yet. What we're going to do is use Fire with Tifa just because she's got ATB again on the left horn. And that's it. That's pressurized him. That was enough to pressurize him. So now this is when we're just going to go ham using all of our big attacks. So charging uppercut with Barret. And with Tifa, I'm going to use up her chi. Omni Strike. Yeah, and I think, in fact, yeah, we'll use Unbridled Strength and Omni Strike again. He's just a couple of punches away from going down, so I'm going to just stay with Tifa, let him jump back up. Come on. Punch, punch, punch. Down he goes. There you go. So it's that third phase that you just want lots of ATB for it, particularly on Cloud. Use a Fire Aga. If that doesn't pressurize him, then with Tifa, just use a normal fire attack. Go for the horn. You could perhaps improve on this strategy. If earlier in the fight you damaged the horn, that might also then cripple him. So just think about your timings, but with this method, you're not going to have to do any healing at all. And they are all, I would say, on pretty decent health, to be fair, without having had to use any heals. You didn't see all of his moves because we just simply don't allow him an opportunity to use them. So one of his moves is when after he's enraged, he'll do Tailspin and then follow it up with something called Reversal, which does heavy damage. So if you ever see that, you want to use fire on his horn, or just fire in general to try to interrupt him. He does another move, various backwater, I can't remember what they're called now, backwater or black water attacks, which then spews all sorts of horrible gunk from the kind of the sewage that if it hits you, then it poisons you and it does heavy damage as well. But you can pretty much avoid and circumvent all of that by using this strategy. So I hope that you found that really helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, or any feedback. And yeah, thank you very much for your time.